Hi everyone, it's Vince here. I was feeling nostalgic today and I thought, you know what, let's make a video on my old Steam game that I released back in January of 2018. That game is called Stick Adventures Wizard Madness, and it's available on Steam right now still for around $1.60. The reason why I'm talking about Stick Adventures today, everyone, is because I've actually released a new game on Steam called Sneaky Snacks Hidden Object Game. And the whole goal of Sneaky Snacks is that you find food that's hidden around medieval-inspired levels. So let's jump back to Stick Adventures and what my whole goal with that game was. In May of 2015, I was playing Clicker Heroes every single day on my channel for years on end, everyone, and their spin-offs as well. So that actually inspired me to try and make a game where you could click on objects to destroy them. So I whipped up an idea on Game Maker Studio 2 to make Stick Adventures Wizard Madness. I drew every single asset of Stick Adventure Wizard Madness in Paint, everyone, okay? For some reason, I just really thought it had the 2D charm to it, but now looking back at it, I just laugh, alright? It's hilarious what I drew up back then. I don't care what anyone says, I love it. It just feels wholesome to me that I actually drew that on Paint back then, but boy, if I had the money, I would have hired an artist. This was when I was growing up and I didn't really have that much cash. So my whole thing was that I would make all the assets myself to save money, because it does cost $100 worth of USD currency to put a game on Steam, by the way. But I didn't just draw the art, I actually did the audio as well. And I created the soundtracks in FL Studio. Now that was a pretty cool experience for me to learn, because I got to create my own soundtracks from scratch. I was playing Doom and Doom 2 WADs back then as well through Skulltag, which if you don't know what that is, essentially you can play Doom and Doom 2 with mods. So a few of my soundtracks were actually inspired by the classic Doom soundtracks.
Sam fought valiantly on his quest for revenge, slaying both men and creature to finally face the one he believes is responsible for the murder of his family.
I actually managed to make the most basic of cutscenes as well for Stick Adventures Wizard Madness, which was really fun to voice over. I mean, back then I'm listening to my voice and I just laugh again because I was taking it so seriously. Not only that though, you could actually customize your wizard as well with certain pieces of armor, and there was even an in-game store with a currency and mana system. So I managed to make it so you could cast spells in this game. I could have definitely have done a few of those spells a bit better, but making an in-game shop was a massive achievement for me back then because I didn't really know what I was doing. In fact, everything on that game was all new to me. I just thought I would take the leap and make a game, because you had to start somewhere, right? Since I used Game Maker Studio, I was checking out YouTube tutorials all the time. A main person I checked out was called Sean Spalding. He had some really great guides on Game Maker that helped me throughout the years. Although there was the Game Maker forums as well that helped a lot. Now for the enemies, I was playing Age of Empires 2 a lot back then as well, and I did get inspiration from them. Although because they were stickmen, they were relatively easy to draw in Paint. Now a cool feature that I actually liked was the inclusion of footsteps, the bosses at the end of every level, and when you defeat enemies, they don't just disappear. I feel like games are always making enemies disappear when you defeat them, and I thought I'd spice it up a bit again. There was also a takedown counter so you could see how well you're doing in the game. I don't really know why I included this because it didn't really do anything. Another great thing was the level select screen, everyone. This is where you could jump between areas, and in fact I'm probably going to use this in my future games going forward, but obviously make it a lot better. For some reason, I thought having a random pokey/slot feature in the game was a good idea. I guess because I was playing the slots a bit back then, so I find that pretty funny looking back at that. Realistically, I really wasn't expecting anything from Stick Adventures. Even if it sold a few copies to make me $10, I was going to be happy. And in the grand scheme of things, from January 2018, I managed to sell around 190 copies of Stick Adventure Wizard Madness. To right now, obviously. And again, there's something very wholesome about that, because this is really how people get started, right? They have to obviously put their game out there and hope for the best. But that was more of a project for me because I was doing YouTube every single day, so I didn't really mind too much about the game itself and how it performed. Hence why I've never really gone back to it. And I'm probably never going to get rid of it either, even though, you know, looking back, it is a very, very amateur game. But it's a part of my history, so I'm going to keep it there. My goal was just to make a fun little game that my followers could play, and hopefully other users on Steam would get some joy out of it. And honestly, I think I did my job well, for what it was, especially in the price. Now that leads us to today in 2024. Taking a look at Sneaky Snacks, you can see that it looks 100 times better than Stick Adventures Wizard Madness. Not only that though, the coding is so much better as well. Over the years, I've been trying to practice Game Maker Studio by making applications on the Android for testing purposes, and just pretty much trying to improve my skill. My goal with Sneaky Snacks was to use art that can be generated from AI, which according to the company that I'm going through, hopefully it's done ethically. Although I'll modify every single piece of art in Photoshop and try and change it around as much as I possibly can. You'd be amazed what you can do in Photoshop these days, even though Photoshop even has their own AI generative content tool now. I truly believe whether people like it or not, you're going to be seeing more and more AI content in games, YouTube videos, pretty much everything, dude. The fact that you can even generate art in Photoshop now kind of proves the point that AI is just continuing to spread everywhere. Although you're always going to have bad actors that blatantly steal things, my goal was to try and find a company that does it ethically without stealing, hopefully, any artist's work. Although the jury's still out on that, you're always going to have people against AI, which I completely understand. Although I don't plan to use AI art forever. Ideally, once I start selling copies of my game, I'm going to start hiring a team and hopefully start developing games full time. That's the ultimate goal. With Sneaky Snacks, though, I've created a campaign and a bonus mode. With this campaign, you can treat it like a new player being introduced to the hidden object genre. As you progress throughout the stages, which there are 20 in the campaign, it gets progressively more difficult. Although there is a hint system minigame that I created where you can actually get a hint that will give you a general location of the snack or the object you're trying to find. To spice things up though, I added a timer. Usually the more difficult levels have a bit more time than the shorter ones with only a few objects in them, but just to help out people a little bit extra, I decided to add a time bonus clickable that drops from the ceiling. You get 10 seconds for clicking on that in time. I also figured out how to do Steam achievements. So Sneaky Snacks actually has over 30 achievements you can gain by beating the game itself. Each level will give you an achievement. From what I can tell, that's what game development is, everyone. You pretty much just build off the older projects and you try and get better and better as time goes on. You may have 50 projects that will fail, but hopefully you'll find one that does well. Then you can just build off that. Now, once you beat the campaign on Sneaky Snacks, you have the bonus levels. Now, this is a lot more difficult than the campaign because there are no hints, and I've specifically made these levels to be way more difficult with the blending in of the objects. But it's funny because even though I say it might be difficult for some people out there, some people will just fly through the game without any issues whatsoever. It all depends on your skill essentially on hidden object games. That's the way I wanted to make it. Some people may have a difficult time, some people might have an extremely easy time. A good example is that even though I thought people liked the whole concept of beating the timer, I had a comment on my Steam game discussions saying that if the game didn't have a timer mode, that the person would have actually bought the game. So because I made it more competitive against the timer, this person decided not to buy Sneaky Snacks, which means as a developer, I now have the choice to include a free mode where essentially you don't have to race against any clock. That's why listening to your community is so critical as a developer, and that's obviously something I'm trying to make sure I do. In fact, I added Steam achievements thanks to someone telling me that essentially every Steam game should have Steam achievements, and mine will be the odd one out without them. Again, showcasing how important listening to community feedback is. At the moment though, because it's just launched, there's a 20% discount on it, which is making it $3.60 Australian currency. It may even be cheaper in your own country. So if you guys want to try it out, feel free to. I would absolutely love your opinion on it, because compared to Stick Adventures, it's a million times better in my opinion. Now my plan is to obviously get better as time goes on and to release more games. So on this channel going forward, I'm going to document my game making process and any updates that come along or what I'm working on. Having you guys involved in the game development process would be amazing, because who better to talk to than the players themselves? And obviously I've made thousands upon thousands of gameplay videos on YouTube, let alone my other channels as well. So I'm really hoping I can make something special eventually. I would really appreciate it if you guys join my Discord in the description below, so then you guys can stay up to date to my latest game development projects and any updates to existing games as well. I do plan on releasing more levels to Sneaky Snacks. At the moment there are over 40 items available in the game to find, but as I said, I'm hoping to add more as time goes on. And if you guys want to try game development out yourself, I definitely think you should start. I mean, just look at Stick Adventures Wizard Madness. You can start anywhere, dude. As long as you actually try, you'll never know how you're gonna go. I'll catch you all soon for another video. Please leave a comment below telling me what you thought of the video. See you later, guys.